system to launch one of the biggest careers of all time.
The one that seems to break out and become a sex symbol always seems to sort of break the mold.
In the 1980s, greed is good and Reaganomics are gold.
In 1980, it was one of more pride and power and the money and the energy at the times. That was sort of like a reliving of the American West.
You know, the idea of the corporation, you know, and suits and power.
Women, especially in the 80s, they're entering the workforce. They do have a certain amount of power. Madonna is significant because in many ways she also becomes a symbol of the empowerment that women wanted to feel. She is the one who's setting the rules.
Madonna markets everything to be a calculated play on power and sexuality, right down to her wardrobe choices.
That cone bra, too, was so perfect for its time because it mirrored the shoulder pads, women in the workplace, and the women wanted to be perceived as more masculine, turning her breasts into missiles. I mean, the pointed bra was basically two cannons that could shoot out power.
It is a Coke versus Pepsi world where image is everything. And it's the material girl who embodies the bullish market of the 80s.
Madonna didn't apologize for who she was, and that was really empowering.
Was she the best performer? Probably not, but it didn't matter because people were so drawn to her energy.
Madonna bursts onto the scene just as MTV takes over America's airwaves, creating the perfect storm to catapult this sex symbol into superstardom.
Her rise and MTV's rise was a really beautiful marriage.
MTV played a huge role when it came to Madonna becoming a sex symbol. Imagine yourself as a teenage boy for the first time you're coming from school, you're by yourself, and you're able to actually watch Madonna's video. That is a form of titillation that has not happened before.
Tongue-in-cheek tracks like Holiday and Borderline make Madonna famous. But just like Marilyn's iconic moment in 7 Year Itch, it's what the material girl does on the stage of Radio City Music Hall that makes her infamous.
In 1984, in September, at Radio City Music Hall, at the very first MTV Music Video Awards, I was working, assisting Dan Aykroyd, who was one of the hosts.
She came out in a white wedding dress and garters and singing like a virgin,
and she begins riding around on the floor at Radio City. I'm in the wings with Dan Aykroyd, and our jaws are kind of dropping, and we can see the front row, and everyone's jaw is dropping. A huge part of her career was launched right there on that stage.
Her performance is something that's still seared into my mind. It was groundbreaking in a number of ways, not least of which because everyone tried to one-up her ever since then.
People were horrified, but yet they couldn't turn away. That has always become sort of the mandate of Madonna's career, that you want to look and not look at the same time.
And unlike other sex symbols, she doesn't shy away from politics. By the late 80s, the world's top-selling female recording artist is packaging her pop with a message.
With Madonna, you had a sex symbol that also asked us to really question our thoughts about different issues. She embodies sexuality in a way that we needed in the 80s. We had AIDS come out. We were scared, and we were becoming more sexually repressed in a sense. And she was putting sex out to us and allowing us to have a fantasy with sex, to look at sex in a way that wasn't so devastating.
In Papa Don't Preach, she's discussing the issue of abortion. In Like a Prayer, she is reflecting this phenomenon in religious mysticism that involves sexuality.
Madonna refuses to follow in the footsteps of her predecessors and become a studio darling. She sets out to change the game.
With Madonna, you have someone who really takes the reins, and she becomes the master of her image.
She was going to be the CEO of her own brand.
Her success to me in that era is as much a study in artistic success as it is business success.
Of course, with around 300 million record sales under her belt, Madonna can afford to push boundaries.
In 1992, she releases a book titled Sex. In it are these sexually explicit photographs of Madonna herself.
Her career kind of culminates into always questioning authority, whether it be religious, whether it be sexual mores.
Madonna made you not feel shame about it. It's just like, yeah, I have sex, and yeah, I love this.
Madonna is in her own class on every level because ultimately she sold freedom.
Certainly there were a lot of times that Madonna was up there to provoke and to shock, but I think her bigger message was really to say, don't be afraid to be who you are.
It's Marilyn who draws the blueprint for starlets in the 1950s, but by the 1980s, the torch is passed to Madonna, who writes a new rule book on what it means to be a sex symbol. These days, it's hard to find a starlet that isn't taking a page out of Madge's sex symbol playbook.
Madonna is really the blueprint for every other female pop star that's come after her.
Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears.
Everyone from Gwen Stefani to Lady Gaga to Katy Perry find inspiration and references in Madonna.
Coming up, while Madonna finds power in sex appeal, the bad boys of rock and roll riff on the rebellion found in every sex symbol.